We're going to cover the topic of designing and building a glide-based training session, and we're going to start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Dane Miller from throwsuniversity.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn about throwing further, you want to improve your discus technique, you want to improve your shot put technique, you want to become a better glider, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a champion. So we get asked all the time at Throws University, how do we design our training programs? And we've got to first of all take that step back and say, are we designing a training program for a discus thrower, for a shot putter, for a hammer thrower? What is it specifically that we're designing a program for? And what we're going to do now is we're going to say, hey, we're designing a strength-based program, a throws-based program specifically for a glider. So the next step that you've got to take as a coach or as an athlete is say, all right, so we're going to be focusing on improving the glide. So what do we need to become a good glider? What are those elements that we've got to have to be a successful glider? And we know for a fact that you've got to have very good technique. So there's going to be that throws-based aspect around developing technique. We know that you need to be strong. So we have to have strength-based components inside of this workout. We know that you have to coordinate at a high speed. You have to be extremely fast, extremely coordinated, and we know that has to go into the development of a program. On top of that, we also see the positions that gliders are in when they're coming out of the back of the circle. We see the positions that they hold in the middle of the circle. So we know there's a significant amount of mobility that has to go into what you're doing when you're a glider, and that has to be considered when you're designing that program. So we've got to take a step back and say, okay, there's a couple big elements here. There's technique, so we've got to have throws, right? There's mobility, there's strength movements, there's explosiveness, there's rapid coordination. All of these things come into improving a glider and their power output and their ability to execute very effectively inside of a workout. So that leads us into, where do we start? So if we think about it, first off, we know the priority is throwing, right? We know we're dealing with gliders. So ultimately, the priority must be throwing. And we know, we're going to take a couple standing throws to warm up. We're going to try and focus on some drills or some partial movements that's going to improve the glide technique specifically, and then we're going to take a handful of full throws. We understand that that's going to come into play. So that's going to lead us then into that strength session. We're going to get out there, we're going to take, about an hour worth of throws, and now we've got to start thinking from a strength perspective. What's going to help us be more explosive? Now we're going to get into that second part. We're in the weight room. We know there's going to be that explosive component. So right off the bat, now we're focusing on those explosive movements, okay? And that's when we're going to lead into, we want to focus on the explosive movements first because we don't want to be too fatigued when we are doing explosive exercises. We know that most of the explosive exercises that we utilize are also technical. They require a tremendous amount of technique and coordination and focus from the mind. So we need to be at optimal levels and have minimal fatigue when we're doing those explosive movements. And then we're going to head into something that's a little bit easier. So now we're going to get into, let's just do some general strength movements. So now we're building into some general strength work. And for the glide specifically, a back squat or a bench press, anything along these lines is going to help tremendously in improving your glide strength, so that now we can start to understand, okay, let's do some strength work that might couple that explosive work. This explosive work can then get filtered into some standing throws and into those full throws, and ultimately that's going to lead to some bigger gains. And then finally, we can finish off and sit there and say, all right, we know there's going to be some accessories. We know that there has to be some semblance of mobility. We know that there's got to be a little bit of bodybuilding. Maybe there's some work on our elbow extensors to protect those joints. We know that if we focus on our lower back mobility or our hip mobility or our thoracic spine mobility, now we can hit some better positions. We can hold those positions a little bit more effectively, and we can start to recruit at a higher rate. We can coordinate faster. And this is one of the key factors then, is coupling all of this stuff together can be a challenge. And so that's where we're at today. That's why we're offering you, if you click on the link down below in the description, you can head to throwsuniversity.com and you can pick up an entire free workout that encompasses all this, and it holds your hand. It walks you through the entire process of what goes into that training session. It's going to tell you exactly how many stands that you need to take, what drills you're going to be focusing on, what fulls you're going to be doing, and then what exactly you're going to be doing in the weight room to execute with that explosive movement, some of those strength exercises, and then what accessories you're going to be utilizing. So again, that's down in the description down below. You can click on the link. You can head over to throwsuniversity.com. You can pick up that free training session just for you to help you get a better understanding of what goes into developing an optimal glider. If you want more information about the glide, or you want more videos about learning glide technique and glide-based training, you can click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.